I am, let's make this, is that better? No, let's do that. Okay. Hi, YouTube, Kodandi here. And I just have such a huge queue of videos that I haven't edited or posted yet. So I'm gonna be doing live videos until I can kind of catch up. And I was back in Oakland a few days ago at the place where, like, when I don't have anywhere else to go, that's where I go to stay. And that's, you know, it's not a bad place. It's a nice place. It's an interesting place. It's a good location. But, you know, it's like it's not my house. I'm sleeping in these people's, like, attic. And so it is what it is. And I felt like it was home while I was there. Like, I went there to pick up some stuff and to, you know, chat with the residents, and it felt like it was home. But at the same time, the place where I've been house sitting out in this other location, out in the suburbs, also feels like home. And I got to really processing that. And it's a really good feeling for me. You know, when I was planning my visit back to California from the Adenum, I'm like, you know, I'm not going to be in California long enough. I don't want to bother with paying rent. I'm kind of like morally opposed to rent anyway, and I'm not going to be here long enough to bother with paying rent. I can, you know, kind of skim by, slide by for a couple of months without renting any one permanent place. And it's honestly, it's been working out really, really well. And it's been working out so well that it's like, it's fantastic. It's really, really fantastic. I feel really at home in the world. And this is a huge, huge completion for me, because growing up, the house that I grew up in did not feel like a home for me. The house that I grew up in was not a happy place, and it was not a place I wanted to be. It was that I was scared of. It was a place that I hated going to. And, you know, thankfully I got out when I was really young. But I don't think of that house, I don't even think of that, you know, that city, that state as being home, because it was just such a negative experience. And, you know, I come out to California and I, you know, kind of, you know, I'm squatting in these warehouses and just kind of like living everywhere, being out on the streets a lot, being out in public a lot, kind of being on transit a lot, like the bus was my home. But I didn't really have a good sense of home. And I didn't realize this until quite a few years later when I was doing this spiritual work. Some noisy critter out there. There's a frog. Is the frog inside? I think the frog might be inside. Well, anyway. So I was doing spiritual work with these people. And a part of this spiritual work they were doing was to have this like representation of a spiritual home. And I was just so confused by this. Like, what is this concept of home? I'm like, why are we doing this? Why do we need this thing? This, you know, what does this even mean? And I just didn't get it. I just didn't get it. And they didn't understand, like, they had always had a feeling of home, out of, you know, like a space of belonging. And I never really had. I just did not understand the concept of home. It had no spiritual meaning or value for me at all. And I just didn't get it. I wasn't interested. And the practice was actually dropped because I was just like, what is this? I don't even know. But it wasn't until then that I realized I didn't really have a good sense of home, that nowhere felt like home, that the spaces that I lived in did not feel like home, because I had never had this foundation of feeling like home was a home. And I kind of carried this through my life, that nowhere really felt like home. And I mean, I kind of sort of associate certain places with particular phases in my life, but it never really had a strong sense of home. And then I go to India to the Adinam, where there's this real emphasis on feeling like home and feeling like, a family. And I don't have a good sense of either of those things. Like, I don't know what family feels like. I don't have good experiences with family. I don't know what home feels like. And it just, it just didn't exist in my frame of reference. So now here I am, homeless. Actually, legitimately homeless. I don't live anywhere, I live everywhere. I live anywhere I can find a place to live. And as a result, from being homeless, I have developed a sense of home, but I have developed a sense of home for everywhere. I used to be really anxious, and I used to be really agoraphobic, and I used to really hate having to go out and be in public because of this. It was incredibly difficult for me. There was a point in time where I couldn't even ride public transportation anymore because it was just too much for me. And it was like the world was this big, scary place that I didn't like being in. And now here I am. I've had this incredible transformation, this incredible healing, so that I'm no longer agoraphobic. I feel very at home in the world. I feel very comfortable in public spaces. I feel comfortable on public transportation and moving around through various public spaces, but also that I feel like I really feel sort of at home anywhere I am. And, now that I'm doing all of this kind of house sitting for people and dog sitting, it's it's like 10 times. When I first started doing dog walking, I was going into people's houses. They're not home. I get the dog, take the dog out. Sometimes I have to, look around to find the leash. I'm like in their personal space. Bring the dog back. Sometimes they want me to feed the dog or give the dog medicine. At least I always like rinse out the water bowl and give some fresh water. And, like every day, multiple times a day, going into people's homes. And most of these people I haven't met because I'm an on-call dog walker. So it's like, hey, come walk our dog in an hour. And I'm there walking the dog in an hour. I've never seen these people. I've never met the dog. I just go into the house, walk the dog, bring the dog back, whatever. And it was so like creepy for me to be in people's homes, like in their personal spaces, and to be doing this so much. When I started doing house sitting as well, it was like, oh, I don't know. Can I touch? Can I look? What do I do? You know? And it took me a while to even feel like I could make myself at home in other people's houses while I'm there caring for their pets. And that was something like I haven't really done a lot of house sitting until, the past couple of months being back in California because I was so uncomfortable even going into people's homes to like get their dogs, walk the dog, bring the dog back, and like that's it. Like that was so difficult for me that I didn't really do house sitting until, the last few months that I've been here in California. And it's just everything has shifted, has really shifted, that not only do I feel at home in the world, but I feel like I can make myself at home in other people's homes and in other places. Like anywhere, I could make myself at home, and that the whole world is my home. And this is like, this is fantastic. This is a huge breakthrough for me. Like, I don't know if I'm expressing how huge this is for me. For someone that was like internally, I was like this homeless orphan. Even when I had places to live, I was internally homeless. Now that I have no place to live, I'm physically homeless, but internally I feel at home everywhere. And that's really, I mean, it's so much about shifting your internal space that I can be actually homeless, but feel at home anywhere and everywhere that I make my home. I mean, I could go out into the woods with a tent and feel at home there. I could, sit in a car and make that place my home. I could go to like random other people's houses. I mean, I'm not in random other people's houses, but I could go to some other person's house and make myself at home there because it is such an internal state and has absolutely nothing to do with, me having a, secure place to live, which I don't have right now. But it's like, it's great. It's fantastic. Okay. That's my thing for today. I don't know. Did I get it? Even any viewers? I don't know. I got a thumbs up, so I must have had some viewers. But what time is it anyway? 11 minutes. Okay, I got like this cool clip-on ring light. Isn't this nice? If I started up a shop selling, you know, phone camera accessories, I don't know how many of you watching this video to this point might be YouTubers or want like camera phone accessories like ring lights, microphones, lenses, tripods. I got them all. But I've been thinking of starting up a little shop selling these things. If it's something you're interested in, get in touch with me and I will hook you up because I got the hookup. But anyway, thank you all for joining me. Nityanandam.